All right, good morning, traders. Today is May 30th, last day of the month, I believe. Isn't this the last day? Let me check this out. Yeah, no, one more day. Okay, it's almost the last day. We got one more day. Tomorrow's going to be the last day of the month. All right, so how I plan to trade SPY today. Let's go dig into that. First, let's start the monologue or the summary from yesterday. All right, so hey, good morning to everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your kind comments. Appreciate your subscriptions. Thank you for all of the kind words. Appreciate that. The likes and the follows and all of that. All right, so my SPY pivot remains the same. It's 589.85. We didn't move anywhere. We had an outside day yesterday. Above it, I'm a bull, below it, I'm a bear. All of the SPY, not all of the Fab Five. Yes, all of the Fab Five are in daily uptrends. That's true. SPY, QQQ, and FNGB made outside days. That's higher highs, lower lows, closing over their traps over their 17 EMAs. IWM, Diamond Dow, both made lower highs, lower lows, closing over bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Gold in a daily downtrend. Gold made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Silver in an uptrend as well. Wait, gold's in a downtrend. Silver's in an uptrend. That's right. Silver made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. USO still in a downtrend. Made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. UNG also in a daily downtrend. No love for the XLE this month. All right, UNG made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We love it. All right, closed near the 99.39 area. SPY max pain for today, because it's options expiration Friday, 584, with a put to call ratio of about 2 puts to each call. We could see a put squeeze. We'll see what happens. That expires today. Those are for the puts and call options that expire today at 4:15. IonQ still in a breakout. Not a great day yesterday. Look for that to maybe recover today. We'll see what happens, but that was set for a nice breakout. Maybe it's not going to break out. Maybe that's just it. That's it for the high for IonQ. But keep an eye on that one. All right, watch coin for a breakout as well. All right, so by the way, everybody out there in Cyberland podcast. Oh, here we go. We're dipping now. All right, SPY's dropping. All right, so everybody out there, podcast land, Cyberland, digital land. All right, if you're watching my videos, everybody that subscribes to YouTube, hey, I want to let you know we're gonna have an open house here at the BYOB Trading Room. All right, a lot of people made some daily goals yesterday. Some of them made 5 daily goals. Some of them made 4 daily goals. We do day trading. All right, that's pretty much all we concentrate on. We don't run around and we don't chase, the fastest moving stocks or any of that. We just trade the index. Occasionally, here and there, we'll trade something else. But for the most part, we just trade the indices. We trade MES, that would be the futures, and we trade the MNQ, that would be the futures for the QQQ. So, anyways, it's a free open house on Monday, June 2nd. All right, I start at 8, I end at 4. I don't know how long my voice will last, but I will help educate you, and I will show you how we trade. I will show you how we make money in the BYOB Trading Room. And you are all invited. All you have to do is register for the open house, and that will be in the link of the description of the video. Yeah, ES is coming down, no report. Could be a tweet. All right, Rickster. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. All right, let's go take a look. All right, so here we are with SPY. Here's the daily chart. Actually, let's dig into the 10. All right, here's 10-minute chart for SPY. All right, so yesterday we closed. See that little 3 EMA? We closed with a 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. Right there, 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. The 3 EMAs up over the white 8 EMA. All right. All in all, we moved from a high up here, and we lost the high. We couldn't hold on to it. Down to a low, and we even dug out some lower lows, and then we bounced back after that. So moving down, I'm not surprised. I have targets of 580 today. We'll see what happens. 584 is max pain. I'm sure they're going to dig that out. Maybe some more. We'll see what happens. All right, so SPY, 10-minute uptrend, 2-hour chart, 2-hour uptrend, daily chart, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing over the trap, over the rising 17. Okay, on the scratch pad we got here, you can see we're up over, that's the candle right there, over the uptrend line. Okay, we're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, we're over the uptrend line here. Okay, we're up in the quadrant 4, and we're making higher lows and higher highs. We are actually in a bull flag. Okay, so that's bullish up there in quadrant 4, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. We're up over, okay, the all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, rare scenario whenever we have 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, all right, inside of 2-hour uptrends that are inside of daily uptrends that are inside of monthly uptrends, and all of that is over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Look how much time is spent over the all-time high anchored VWAP as compared to how much time is spent under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, it's always more time under it. All right, so it's a rare event. Everything's lined up. All the planets are aligned. All the stars are aligned. Well, we don't want the stars aligned, but we want everything lined up. Okay, so it's cases like this is when those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP are more likely to succeed. They're more likely to head off further and farther than they normally go, and downtrends are more likely to fail. All right, because we're over that all-time high anchored VWAP. We're in that 2-hour uptrend that's inside the daily uptrend that's inside the monthly uptrend. All right, so there we go there. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Okay, peek at it on the 2-day chart. Let's pick up a cleaner chart. You can see, all right, you can see right here, price action. Here's the high that we have to beat because we have no other highs over here that are over the 17. And you can see we still have not made a higher high on the 2-day chart. Okay, so we're still in a downtrend. Okay, the reason being we took out that low, that low, that low, and that low. Okay, so we're in a downtrend until we make a higher high. We haven't done it yet. That would be the higher high. 3-day chart, again, we took out that low, that low, that low, that low, and that low. That put us in a downtrend, so now we got to make a higher high. Okay, this is the first high that you come to. Is that over? No, not quite. All right, this is the first high that you come to, all right, that we can pop over. We still have not done that yet. All right, so as soon as we get over that high, we will negate the downtrend status. It's just a label. Keep in mind, we're in 2-day downtrend and a 3-day downtrend, and guess what? And a weekly downtrend. But know what? It's moving up. It's not moving down. All right? So we're currently in a pullback of a downtrend. All right, so there's on the weekly chart, you can see right there, as soon as we pop over that high, we will negate that weekly downtrend status. All right? On the monthly chart, just a quick review. Okay, notice we still have not made a lower low. Here's the low. We did not make a lower low. So in the monthly chart, we are still in an uptrend. All right, so daily charts in an uptrend, monthly charts in an uptrend. It's just the 3-day, the 2-day, and the weekly are not. All right, so let's go back. Let's take a look at QQQ. Actually, let's go visit the game plan. All right, So SPY pivot remains the same. Let's drag this over. Okay. All right. So SPY game plan for today. I like, pull this down. Okay. I like 7 days till expiration Friday options. I like them on the increments of 5. So in other words, 580, 585, 590, 595, 600. Okay, that's what I like. All right. I also like $5 to $15 out of the money. All right, because I don't like to put on a whole lot of risk. I'm not going to get the performance that I would out of a 0 DTE in the money option. Okay, but it will be less risky for me. All right, because a 0 DTE is probably going to cost you like $3-4. All right, whereas an out of the money will probably cost you 50 cents. All right, so I like out of the money. All right, because it's less risk for me. I don't get the performance, but I'm willing to give up some of that performance to take on a little bit less risk. All right, so that's the options that I like. They expire on Friday. They're on the increments of 5. So like I said, 575, 570, 585, 580. Okay, we have green erases red. Okay, 10-minute uptrend. I also like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Okay, I like green erases red entry right here over 592.10. That would be my bullish green erases red entry. Okay, over 592.10. Nice 10-minute uptrend ripping through 592.10 to the upside. That would be a bullish entry. Okay, on the bearish side. Okay, nice 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. Okay, ripping through 589.85. Let me make sure that's right. No, ripping through 586.55. Okay, I do have it right. 586.55. I just said it wrong. All right, 586.55 to the downside. All right, that would be a bearish red erases green entry. Okay, so there we are in the 10-minute. This is the SPY game plan. Okay, now we'll visit the QQQ game plan. All right, again, QQQ pivot didn't change. All right, still 55, 20, 60. Again, I like the same options for QQQ. I like 7 days till expiration. I like 14 days till expiration. I like my options that are $5 to $15 out of the money. Again, on those 7 days till expiration and 14 days till expiration, what strike do I like? Again, I like the increments of 5, okay? So 530, 525, 520, 515, okay? And I like them $5 to $15 out of the money. Again, I am willing to give up some performance, all right, so I can take on a little bit less risk, all right? Because the out of the money options are going to be a lot cheaper than the in the money options or the at the money options. Okay, so you have bullish, green erases red, over 523.55. We got bearish. How did this get moved? Somebody moved the cheese. Okay, we got bearish, red erases green under 518.10. Make sure that's right. Yes. Okay, under 518.10. All right, so under 518.10 is bearish, red erases green. Okay, over 523.55. So 10-minute uptrend ripping through 523.55. That would be a green erases red entry. All right, same thing on the bearish side. All right, a 10-minute downtrend ripping through 518.10. On the downside, that would be a red erases green entry in the southern direction. All right, so there's QQQ. Let's look at this on the daily chart. Okay, let me head on over to here. Nice clean chart. We like that. Okay, what do we got? Outside day. Okay, higher high, lower low. Closing over. See that 3 EMA? See how it's up over the white 8 EMA, it's hard to see, but it's there. Okay? 3 EMAs up over the white 8 EMA. So we got price closing over the bullish trap. See the green dots? That's the 17 EMA. Okay, green dots. Instead of a line, it's the dots. Okay? So closing over the 17, over the trap, that's bullish. Closing up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Closing over, see this gold line? Closing over the gold line, that's bullish, over the uptrend line. We're over the all-time, the pink line, all right? We're over the all-time high moving at all-time high, the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. That's the pink line. Almost lost my train of thought there. Okay, we're up over the midpoint. All right, again up in quadrant 4, making higher lows, higher highs. We're in an uptrend. So there's QQQ on the daily chart. Okay, that's bullish up there. All right, let's take a look at FNGB. All right. Okay, we're up here in the upper third, so that's bullish. Okay, a little breakout there. Okay, that's bullish up there in the upper third. Okay, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing over the trap, over the rising 17, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line, that's bullish. Over the uptrend line, that's the gold line right here. Okay, over the gold line. All I did was connect these two dots to create this line, okay? Over the uptrend line, that's bullish, okay? We're in the upper third, that's bullish. Making higher highs and higher lows. See the higher low? There's a low, higher low. See, there's a high, higher high, okay? So we're in an uptrend. FNGB in an uptrend. Up here in the upper third, that's bullish, all right? IWM. All right, IWM made a lower high and a lower low. We closed over the trap, over the 17 EMA. That's bullish. Closed over the uptrend line. That's kind of bullish. Closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP, but knocking on the door. That's bullish, all right? And we're in an uptrend. We made a higher low and a higher high, so we're in an uptrend, okay? But we're not in the upper third. We're not in the lower third. So we're just in neutral land right through here, okay? We're acting bullish, all right? But we're not quite bullish yet, okay? Got all the right stuff, okay? We're just not there yet. We just haven't passed the test, okay? Notice we're closing over the trap, over the 17, okay? Not quite over the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're over the uptrend line. We're acting bullish, okay? We just haven't been certified yet, okay? We're not up here in the upper third, okay? So it's looking good. Just doesn't quite have the mustard or the spinach to get up there right now, okay? May take it some more time. It's not ready yet, okay? The pasta is still not al dente, all right? So there we go. IWM. Let's take a look at diamond down, okay? Lower high, lower low, closing again over the trap, over that rising 17. That's the green dots, okay? We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. We're up over the uptrend line. We have a higher low. See, here's the low. Made a higher low right here. Higher low and higher high. Okay, see the high here? We made a higher high. So we're in an uptrend. Okay, we're over the uptrend line. We're over the downtrend line. See this downtrend line? We're over that. We're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there, okay? We were in the upper third a couple days ago, okay? But today kind of closed. I'm not going to give it to them. They're going to have to work a little harder, all right? Closed not in the upper third, okay? So they're in the neutral land, but knocking on the door of the upper third, all right? So there's diamond down, all right? Kind of losing it there, all right? They're knocking on the door. They're close, all right? They're about to walk through if they could get a little higher. Okay, so there's diamond down, just neutral today. Okay? Actually, I'm going to give it to them, all right? I'm going to say they're in the upper third. So they're bullish and in an uptrend over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So there's diamond down in the upper third. I'm going to call it in the upper third. All right? So there we are, diamond down in an uptrend. All right, let's take a look at technicals, T2122. Oh, look at this price action yesterday. Yesterday's 29th. Okay, so we were down here in the buyer's chop zone when we left off the previous day. We ripped up into the buy zone. Bears kind of threw us out. Okay, then we snuck back in a couple times, right, making lower highs. All right, and then they finally caught a hold of us and security threw us out. Wound up back in the buyer's chop zone. Okay, made a lower low. See, here's these two lows. Well, we made a lower low. All right, and then we didn't like it here, so we went back inside the buy zone. All right, and made like a squeaky higher high. So we'll see what happens. All right, so we're in the buy zone we left off. That's bullish, being up there in the buy zone. All right, let's go take a look at T2123. Okay, so we spent our day in the upper half. Okay, not in the lower half down here. We were in the upper half, and if you look, there's some lows. We made some higher lows, but from this perspective, we made some lower lows. All right, so it's just kind of waffling back and forth right now. T2123. Okay, we gapped up bullish. See that? We gapped up bullish. Bears couldn't even fill the gap right there. Okay, they did not come back down through that. You have consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, so that's a bullish environment. Okay, anytime you see bullish gaps that aren't getting filled by the bears, that's a bullish environment. Got one here, got one here, got one here. All right, that's a bullish environment. Up over the rising 200 SMA, that's a bullish environment. Up over the daily downtrend line, that's a bullish environment. Okay, we're making higher lows. All right, there's a high, and we're making higher highs. Okay, that's also bullish environment. Okay, so there's T2123. All right, that's the 15-minute chart. Okay, you look at this, we got kind of a bull flag. All right, price goes up and holds the higher ground. See the look up and holds the higher ground, as opposed to going up and giving it up. Okay, that would be neutral. Okay, this time we're going up and we're holding that higher ground. That is a bullish outlook. That is a bullish environment. Okay, long trades will probably work out better when this environment is present. All right, so let's take that off. Let's go take a look at the 3-bar chart. Same product. Okay, 3-bar chart, same product here. Again, price action is, okay, again moving up and then holding that higher ground. It's the same chart. Okay, just the 3-bar, so it's looking good. Bull flag, holding that higher ground, as opposed to moving up and giving it up. All right, so things looking good on the 3-bar chart. On the 3-bar chart, we're making higher lows. Well, we're not making any higher lows yet, but we are making some higher highs. There's the high right there. We made a higher high, so we're in an uptrend, and we are up over their daily downtrend line. That's bullish. We're up over the falling 200 SMA. That's bullish. And we're moving up and holding that higher ground. Also bullish. And you can see we put in 3 more green candle bars yesterday. So nice work on T2123. 3-bar chart. Notice the bullish gap that still has not been filled. Nice work, okay? Bulls are really running with this. How far they go, not sure. Pull back. They are resting right now because they're just moving over to the right. Okay, here's 2 prior all-time highs. I would expect these 2 prior all-time highs might get tested on the next breakout of that bull flag. Let's take a look at FNGB. Again, you can see consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, let's box this off so you can see this. Okay, so you can see here's some consolidation. Okay, that's over. Okay, prior consolidation. See all of that? Okay, so you notice consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish. All right? All right? Other thing that's bullish gap ups that aren't filled by the bears. That's a bullish environment. Up over the rising 200 SMA. That's a bullish environment. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a bullish environment. Up over the daily uptrend line. That's a bullish environment. So FNGB looking good right there, okay? Look at them go up and hold that higher ground. Okay, that takes a tremendous amount of energy. Okay, now we follow the FNGB because these are the 10 of the most heavily weighted securities inside the QQQ and the SPY, okay? These 10 can move, when they move as a pack in one direction, they will jerk the others into the same direction. Not to say that the others won't move in a different direction, but they will jerk the whole index, okay, with that direction more than likely. 9 times out of 10. 9.5 times out of 10, all right? Pretty close to 10 for 10, though, all right? So FNGB, when those move as a pack, okay, they will jerk that index in that direction, regardless of what the other 490 stocks are doing inside the SPY. Okay, those 10 have that kind of power that they can jerk the other 490, okay, making the whole index move in the direction of the FNGB. That's possible. All right, I've seen it happen many times. FNGB. Okay, so there's the 15-minute chart. Again, consolidation over prior consolidation is a bullish environment. That is a bullish outlook, all right? When you have bullish outlook, bullish environment, uptrends are going to tend to work more often than not. Downtrends are going to probably not succeed more often than not, okay? Just saying, that's what I look for. That's what I kind of expect. So there's FNGB, all right? Let's go take a look at a few sectors, and we're going to hit the economic plan. All right, sectors. Let's start off with XLE. All right, XLE. Lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the 17. Down here in the lower third, that's bearish. Okay, they're still in an uptrend. They're just not moving up, all right? They're under downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2. They're under the all-time high anchored VWAP. They're under the midpoint. They're in the lower third. They're bearish. But they're in an uptrend, but they're just not moving up. Okay, so that's XLE. Okay, so not great performance, but they are in an uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at USO. Okay, USO, no higher high here, so they're still in a downtrend. Okay, they're in the lower third, so that's bearish. They're under the 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's bearish. All right, they keep making lower highs and lower lows. All right, so that's bearish. And you can see they're in a bear flag right now. Big sloppy bear flag. All right, so that's bearish. So they're not helping out the XLE at all. They're down here in the lower 1/3. That's bearish. Okay, notice they closed under the trap and under the 17. Also bearish. Okay, anytime you're closing under that daily trap and under the 17, that's bearish. Okay, they are kind of holding this higher ground right here from this perspective, all right? So we'll see where they want to go. Okay, again, they still haven't made any higher highs. For the last 11 days, all they had to do was take out this high right here at 69.90, all right? And they couldn't do it for the last 11 days. I don't know what they're waiting for, but that's all they had to do was take out that high. All right, actually now all they got to do is take out this high. 68.87. They still haven't done that. All right, so there's USO. No love for the XLE. Let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG got a low. We made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. Lower high, lower low, downtrend. Under the downtrend line, okay, that's bearish. Underneath the 12-month high anchored VWAP, also bearish. In the lower third, that's bearish. Under the midpoint, also bearish. Okay, so, and in a downtrend, okay, also bearish. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the falling 17, also bearish. Again, no love for the XLE here from UNG. All right, let's go take a look at take a look at precious metals. Gold's in a downtrend, but bull flagging up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Up over the uptrend line, that's bullish. Closing candles, okay, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, also bullish. Closing over the trap and over the 17, also bullish, okay. Stuck in that downtrend because that's just a label, okay. but we're up here in quadrant 4 consolidating. Okay, they could probably consolidate for another month or so. All right, it's fine with me. Let them cool off, kind of hold that higher ground. That would be nice. So gold, bullish in a downtrend on the daily chart. Okay, but not really moving down, just consolidating over to the right. So there's gold, bullish, over the uptrend line, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, quadrant 4. It's in a downtrend. Okay, but it's just a label. SLV. Okay, SLV up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Closing over the trap over the 17, that's bullish. Closing over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Closing over this is a 12-year high anchored VWAP and a 6-month high anchored VWAP. All right. Closing over that, that's bullish. All right, up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. And we're in an uptrend. There's a high right there. We made a higher high. We're in an uptrend. And we're up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. That's silver. Let's take a look at SMH. All right, SMH putting in higher low, higher high, closing over the trap over the 17. That's bullish. In the upper third, that's bullish. Over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Okay, making higher lows and higher highs, that's bullish. SMH bullish up here on the upper third. Okay, let's take a look at XLK up here in quadrant 4. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, that's bullish. Over the 17, that's bullish. Okay, up over the uptrend line, that's bullish. Closing up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Up here in quadrant 4, higher lows, higher highs, that's an uptrend. Everything looking good in XLK. Everything looking good in SMH. Let's take a look at XLF. XLF up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Okay, closing over the trap over the 17, bullish. All right, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP, bullish. Higher low, higher high in an uptrend. Look at them all hold this higher ground. That's bullish. Okay, XLF, IYT, transports. Okay, moving up, holding that higher ground. Okay, not in the upper third. Okay, so it's neutral. Okay, not over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so, but knocking on the door. All right, so just neutral. We're up over the uptrend line. All right, so that's bullish. Okay, we're closing over the 17 is bullish. Closing under the trap, neutral. Okay, so there's IYT on the daily chart. Okay, I like the consolidation up here. Okay, we're not in the upper third. Would like to see us in the upper third, but I do like the consolidation up near the threshold of the upper third. Much better than being down here in the lower third. Okay, IYT. Just doesn't quite have the mustard, not quite enough spinach to get the job done. All right, right now. Okay, needs to cook a little bit longer. There's the transports. We'll take a look at the economic package. All right, dollar. See the dollar. This is our U.S. dollar index. See the dollar. There's a high. We make a lower high, and then we make a lower low. So that's a downtrend. Again, another lower high and a lower low. That's a downtrend. Lower high and a lower low. That's a downtrend. And we break major support right here. Okay, this would have been minor support. This is major support. We broke major support. So now this becomes minor resistance. Okay, so we closed yesterday. It's this red candle. Okay, we closed 99.37. Okay, we were all the way up here at 110.21. All right, and we are down here at 99.27. Okay, still in that downtrend. Currently in a bear flag. All right, bear flag would be looking something like, okay, we're moving down and then over to the right, okay? So we're in a bear flag down here. So U.S. dollar index. We like a weak dollar because it makes our goods and services more competitive when we go to sell in the global markets. All right, it's not great for the consumer. All right, because it means our dollar's not as strong. All right, but for the people that are selling in the global markets, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, it's a global economy. Okay, let's take a look at Max Payne. Max Payne 584 with almost 2 puts to each call. Okay, so 584 with almost 2 puts to each call. Okay, on the earnings front, okay, nothing really notable here that's going to rock and roll the markets. Okay, that's it for the earnings so far today. Earnings are over. Big one was Nvidia earlier this week. Okay, let's take a look at the economic calendar. All right, on the economic calendar for today, 8:30, which is already passed. International trading goods at 8:30, personal income and outlays 8:30, retail inventories 8:30, wholesale inventories 8:30, Chicago PMI 945, consumer sentiment at 10, and that's it. All right, and then a rig count at 1. All right, so we got some economic news here. We got personal income and outlays, which income has increased. The consensus range was 0.2 to 0.4. We got 0.08. Personal consumption expenditures is in line on month over month. PCE price index month over month is in line. PCE price index year over year is in line. Core PCE price, all right, price index month over month is in line. Core PCE price index year over year is in line. Nothing's really high. Everything looks good there in personal income and outlays. And inflation rate slipped to 2.1 in April, lower than expected Fed's preferred gauge. Okay, I think the Fed wanted 2.5 or 2. All right, so this is pretty good. Inflation is slipping. All right, as a consumer, we like that. Okay, we like that when this we have low inflation. That means we're not going to have to spend as much of our dollars to buy some overpriced stuff. All right, so that's it for me for today. All right, I'll see you guys in about 35 minutes, and we'll open up the markets. Okay. I just want to share one other thing with you before we take off. I believe we are in the midst of a consolidation pattern, and I want to share that consolidation pattern. Okay. This was made yesterday. I don't know what it looks like today, okay, because I see stuff dropping. This yellow, this is what we've already experienced. Okay, and this is, the blue line is what I'm expecting. Is they pull back to the 580, 576 area, and then they revisit back to the highs, and then have a little battle, and hopefully we bounce out of there into higher highs. This is the consolidation pattern that I'm expecting. All right, we'll see. All right, it's just a theory. All right, but this would be a normal consolidation pattern. All right, so that's what I'm expecting. This is just a theory. We'll see what happens here. All right, that's it for me. All right, everybody have a great day. Let's make some profits.